item on the agenda, which is the panelist discussions coming up, and I'd like to invite Ronald elevated stage. Nkoyo Iwok, Deputy General Manager, Procurement Unit, NIMC, National Identity Management Commission, and Bode Fanimo, MD CEO, representing the MD CEO of Lagos State Waste Management Authority. We're inviting you to come and take a seat on the stage. And Honor Fowote Ido Fatai, the General Manager, Lagos State Public Procurement Agency. Please proceed. Thank you. I'd like to say that every speaker is allowed only 5 minutes because we're already running behind time, and we'd like to really keep it fresh, brief, sweet, and to the point. I'll be moderating this session. My name is Grace Anosade. So I'm expecting a fourth speaker. All right, so just wait a minute or two. Okay, I'll go ahead. So let me start with Ronald. Ronald Essing.
Okay, so I'll be talking about the impact of driving business value through the supply chain as it affects my part of the industry. In the oil and gas industry, as some of you know, there are two sectors to this industry. There's the upstream and the downstream. The upstream part is where I work, and what we do is explore and produce hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbon in this case being oil and gas, and as you know, oil and gas is a global commodity. These are not products that are manufactured but extracted from the ground. The product itself, the prices for these products are not determined by the oil and gas companies. They're actually determined by the global supply chain, the demand and supply of these products. So for the oil and gas industry, what we do is try to minimize our operating costs so that we can derive the most profit and value from this. The supply chain for the oil and gas upstream industry deals mainly with MRO parts, which is maintenance, repairs, and operating spares. We also do third-party services, and also movement and goods and personnel through air, sea, and land, as well as material handling. Where do we actually add value as supply chain? I'll start with the one that we are most common with, we're most used to. Every company wants to optimize and reduce its operating costs. So in supply chain, what we do, first of all, start with effective pricing of our contracts and the orders we place. So we need to do a lot of benchmarking, which we do here. We also have modeling tools that we use in-house to help us build up what the cost of a particular activity or a particular product is. So this forms part of our benchmarking efforts, and it allows us to ensure that we don't leave money hanging on the table when we're going for negotiation. I know we always talk about purchase price, but really what we need to look at is the total cost of ownership. You can buy something cheap, but it costs you a lot to operate it. It costs you a lot to dispose of it at the end of the day. So you look at the total cost of ownership here. Optimization of our inventory is key for us. So we connect with the business that we support to help them identify and stock the critical items. You know, most of the things we buy and use in the oil and gas industry is imported, they are manufactured outside. So we need to bring these things in good time so that we can have them when we need it. Stock is money, so you need to optimize your stock. Make sure you don't keep too much of those things and they could go obsolete. So there's a lot of effort there. Also logistics. We have a lot of locations where we do our activities spread around the Niger Delta. So goods and personnel are always moving up and down this location. You need to optimize your cost, optimize and minimize your exposure. Looking at local content development, it's also one area where supply chain has added value to the business. And Babs actually touched on the Caverton example, which is an area where we help to build local capacity within the country. I won't go too much into that. But we have other cases, like the safety wares. We're actually working with a particular contractor to help build the capacity to produce and manufacture safety PPEs in country. It's going to help us in terms of availability, also in terms of cost, and also help us grow local capacity in country. There's also a vendor that we worked on oil spill, helping to manage oil spills, and they developed a few equipment and tools for oil spill control, which we actively encouraged them, and we partnered with them and collaborated with them to help them develop this capacity. Production availability, end-to-end supply chain visibility is key for us. So we're looking at how we can connect to what the business needs to do. So being an oil and gas company, we have a lot of assets, flow stations, gas compressor stations, spread all over the Niger Delta. We need to know when they are doing their turnaround maintenance and activities, make sure that we get those spares and parts they need available on time when they need it. A lot of collaborative effort going on there, demand management. We're also working with other IOCs within the oil and gas industry. We have what we call the AMPILOS, which is an online portal for advertising surplus stock and advertising your requirements. So if you need something, you don't have to go and order it abroad. Maybe other IOCs have it, so you can pick from them.
Thank you, Ronald. Sorry, I have to cut in because of time. But thank you for those highlights you mentioned, and it is true, you actually have to be the strategic partner to the main organization for overall corporate success. So I'd like you to pass the mic to our next speaker. I think I recognize the face, not for what I do, Fatai. Yes, you're welcome. General Manager, Lagos State Public Procurement Agency. Your thoughts?
Thank you very much. Today I will be taking towards the area of agricultural development. Well, because that is where I started my career from. So before I moved into public procurement. So I need to share some facts with us just to whet our appetite. And the truth is that Agric employs 2/3 of the labor force in Nigeria and also provides 85% of the non-oil earnings. More than 90% of output is accounted for by small-scale farmers, most of them with less than 2 hectares cropping area. However, it's important to note that we have expanse of land in Nigeria with potential for agric activities. We have about 68 million hectares, with only about 33 million that is under cultivation. That is just less than half of the land area. We also have 304 million hectares irrigable land, with only 70% utilized. Then God has blessed us as a country with rich vegetation that supplies heavy population of livestock, billions of surface water, underground water, and so on and so forth. We also have abundant rainfall, even though we have climate change staring us in the face. We are having sometimes we are not able to predict what the distribution will look like these days. But God has still blessed us with abundant rainfall as well as extensive coastal region that is rich in fish and other marine products. We also need to diversify into non-oil sources of growth away from our dependence on oil and gas. You know, basically as I speak, it's a mono economy depending largely on oil and gas. But the truth is that productivity in agriculture has not grown sufficiently. And this is due mainly to underinvestment in new technology, the slow adoption of even existing technology, then constraint caused by lack of infrastructure to support agri-development, as well as investment climate that is not favoring agriculture. In the past, some of us heard about this pyramid, food pyramid. I will call it food pyramid because you know, we have it distributed in various areas of the economy. In Kano, it was groundnut pyramid. In some other location, it's one pyramid or the other, because there was this opportunity for farmers to produce. The environment was available, was supported. The industries were there to support them. The system was working. There was a good road. There was a rail system that was functional. But the story is not the same as I speak with you. But the truth of the matter is that we need to help this sector of the economy. And the only way we can do that is to allow the value chain approach to function. The value chain approach allows a handshake between production, harvesting and transportation, primary processing, secondary processing, distribution, packaging and handling, and lastly, wholesale and retail market. We need to encourage the smallholders, especially those of them who are in production, with the best of input, because that is even the foundation. As I speak with you, in Nigeria, while we are battling with 10 tons per hectare in cassava, a neighbor, that is another African country, South Africa, is able to boast of 30 tons per hectare of the same product. That is to tell you the role of input and the kind of input you use in being the foundation. Then we need to ensure that there's this harvesting and transportation. It also has to be done very well. As I speak with you, everything is in the hand of smallholders, but we need people to take up this challenge to assist this sector. Then we also need to go beyond sending raw products to other locations. We need to go beyond that. We need to add value to what we produce, to be able to even have it properly presented, even first and foremost to Nigerians who should consume it. How is it presented? We have entered stores outside Nigeria. We know the way all of these things are presented. So, but it's not exactly the same way that we have it here. So we need to work on how to add value to what we are producing, to the extent that it appeals to you and I, and we will be interested in picking this product and utilize it by ourselves. So one very important thing that I need to share with us is that we need to encourage commercial agriculture. We need to diversify into commercial agriculture, and that is the only way we can sustain the agri growth. We need to develop entrepreneurs around these value chains that I have mentioned, starting from input supply. We need to develop entrepreneurs around it. I'll give you like example because I'm a practicing farmer. So we need to develop entrepreneurs around the various areas from input supply to getting it to the table, because it's like a long chain and this business around all of these areas that I spoke to. But I know that Nigerians are very creative, but it's just that the environment needs to be created for them to come out clearly. We need to, the farmers, those who do agriculture need to have access to high yielding input, just like I shared the experience of Nigeria and South Africa. The issue of land ownership, there's need for a serious reform in land ownership. Somebody who is interested, you have the money, but even the place to invest the money, especially when it comes to land. If you find yourself in another man's state, there's the belief that you cannot invest your money there. If you find yourself in Lagos, some people will be tribalizing it, but food does not understand any other language. You must take it. It does not play politics.
Thank you, sir.
It does not
Sorry, I apologize again.
Yeah.
I'm sure we got some salient points from that brief presentation. And of course, something that we're all mindful of, when the oil economy crashed some years ago, there was some inward, looking inwards, introspecting. And I must say that the agricultural industry has picked up, so has manufacturing, not as much as it should. And we're grateful that we're not in charge of the climate. If not, that would have been mishandled as well. So moving on to our next speaker, sir. Bode Fanimo, representing the MD CEO of Lagos State Water Waste Management Authority. Do you have the mic? Yes. Go ahead, sir. 5 minutes, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bode Fanimo. I'm representing the Managing Director, Dr. Oladimeji Oresanya. Well, basically, I'm going to be sharing my experience in waste management with you. Prior to 1999, Lagos was termed as the dirtiest in the world. I guess everyone seated here will, remember that. But we moved on from 1999. We carved out a niche for those who are passionate in waste management. As of today, I can tell you we have 365 waste managers. And each and every one of these managers employ a handful between 7 and 8 waste handlers. It is now one of the biggest markets you can imagine. Lagos State, because of the population, we generate around 10 to 12,000 metric tons of waste on a daily basis. We have 5 landfills, we have 3 TLSs, and we have on the road today. We have our sweepers. The sweepers figure range between 5 to 7,000, and we're still counting. What we've done is to create job opportunity for people, especially those who live within the community. Lagos State, we have 57 local governments, we have 337 political wards. So what we've done is to allocate wards per PSP. And the requirement is very straightforward. If you have enough money, you can acquire compactors, which the price today is between 10 to 12 million. So just come with 2 compactors, then we'll register and we'll give you a ward. So looking at the value chain in our business, is such that we look after a day-born old baby, from the pampers that we have for the baby, up to the whatever you can think of. That's our job. The unimaginable size of waste in Lagos State, and everybody here you can testify to that. People say Lagos is dirty, but as of today, Loma just returned to duty, so we're working very hard to make sure we're dealing with the backlog, and well, it's looking good, but that's not our best anyway. So in terms of how we have to relate what we're doing in the value chain or procurement or whatever, let me just maybe explain a bit. Before 2008, we were using open truck in Lagos State. What open truck does is they disperse waste everywhere. And it wasn't the ideal thing for us to consider to continue to do that. So the managing director thought a few that, well, why can't we adopt the best practice in waste management, which is the use of compactor? That's what is used anywhere in the world. And I must tell you that at the same time, if you look at the United States of America, the New York State Sanitation Department, the Italian people, waste management is not a job for the boys. Actually, you have the mafia dominating that sector. It's a big money. New York Sanitation Department spends about $150 million annually on waste management. If you compare that to what we spend in Lagos, it's very, very insignificant. So we're looking at pushing up the budget to make sure that we can do exactly what the advanced countries are doing. So from waste generation, you and me generate waste. A day-born baby, as I said, generate waste. And how do we get this waste? How do we treat it? How do we manage it? How do we, So it's a lot of processes. We need transportation, we need collection, we need disposal, and that's where the value chain can. Each of these, as I've mentioned, require manpower, require resources, require so many things. We go as far as making sure that we publicize, we educate, talking to people on daily basis to make sure that they imbibe the culture of containerization. I don't know how many of us here seated, have what we call 240-liter bin in front of our house. That's where you start, from. But aside that, we're equally thinking, the best way you can even minimize what goes to the landfill is for us to begin to do recycling. You have green wheeler bin, you have black wheeler bin, you have red wheeler bin, and then for some of us that have succeeded in paying our LUC, that's land use charges, what the Lagos State government did prior to now was to acquire the first 3,000 wheeler bin, which was given to household, just for us to begin to understand and appreciate that we need to containerize. If you containerize, it reduces the burden of the PSP coming, to do what we call a scooping from the floor. Basically, what they need to do is just, turn your wheeler bin into the compactor and straight to the landfill. So that's what we practice. That's what we encourage everybody to do. On that alone, it's another, huge amount of money being spent on acquisition of containers. 240-liter bin, the first time we did that, I remember we spent about, 15 million.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, let me drop this, please. When we said to the PSP, look, we want to stop the use of open compactor, now acquire what we call garbage compactors. The Lagos State government, in partnership with Stanbic IBTC, acquired 100 compactors from Tata, and that cost us 1.5 billion naira. And today, we are going ahead to acquire more. The new government is coming in 29th of April. We have the road plan, laid out nicely for us to move, the waste management business forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Very honest feedback on what is going on in that industry. As you saw, he spoke from his heart. And yes, we do encourage in supply chain the value of recycling. And I want to add one, repair. We don't always have to trash stuff. We can repair and reuse. So thank you so much. And I would like to encourage us to continue to link this to the topic of today, which is the value in supply chain. So I'd like you to hand over the microphone to the lady. We've saved the best for you. Nkoyo Iwok, the Deputy General Manager, Procurement Unit, Nigerian Identification Management Commission. National, Identification Management Commission. I googled that. So welcome, and please keep it brief, 5 minutes, and remember to link it to our topic for today. Thank you.
My topic for today, good morning everyone. Happy to be here and seeing all the faces that are here. I've been asked to speak on the effect of the events team in the area of the public sector. Coming into the public sector, I've worked there for 25 years, and heading procurement unit recently, I had a challenge of seeing that most of the processes in the public sector are narrowing down to where I work. So I know that most of my colleagues in the public sector understand what I'm saying. The procurement processes are traditionally done. The automation is not there. There's so many paperwork, so many cumbersome things to do before you get to the end of the procurement process. And in the public sector, you have to follow the rules and regulations of BPP. But however, BPP has come up with giant strides in ensuring that most of these processes are automated. In my own industry, that's the National Identity Management Commission, we are an IT commission, and I told my CEO, as an IT commission, we need to automate our procurement process. It was a challenge to me because going for conferences in South Korea and other places, I saw that their procurement process has to do with e-procurement. And we really don't have that in most of our traditional ministries. You find that most of the things are manually done. And my DG saw with me and I said, we need to take a step and do something that we could showcase that this can be achieved. So we went ahead to, I tried to cut it short, we went ahead to see how we can do e-tendering, e-informing, e-auctioning, e-invoicing. It's not an easy task because we have to call our software people to see what they could do and ensure that we could get to this stage. This is just a preamble at the beginning. We go to the next slide since it's here. The merits of what we've been able to achieve. It has helped us to ensure that our processes are efficient because we find out that we have to do a lot of purchase of equipment. Being the National Data Bank of Nigeria, we need to do a lot of technological equipment, purchase them from abroad, and then use them, train on new IT technologies. So our processes have being efficient, and there's reduction in spending. There's increase in competition. Competition in the sense that by the time we are doing all these identity management issues, and then we are going into procurement, purchasing of all those things, the competition for vendors has increased. Greater level of control and compliance. We've been able to control a lot of things. In the past, there were a lot of wastes, and compliance was not very effective. But with my new CEO, who is very particular about procurement being done, following processes and procedures, we've been able to get compliance to be done. Increased computer literacy. And as an IT place, we took over the former DNCR, and those staffs were not properly trained in IT. So the entry level in national identity was made to be graduate level, so that we could have proper computer literacy among the staff. Because we are an IT company, an IT establishment, most of the staff, I think, let's say 95%, because we can't achieve 100%, are computer literate. And then, we have to do the enrollment computer-wise. Then concerning the procurement processes, if the staffs are not computer literate, we cannot achieve that. There's better and efficient record keeping. I saw a store where we had so many records, and I was told that we had to keep those records for 10 years. And I said, that means we have to build a big room to store documents. And I was imagining all the procurement process we do each year. How are we going to store all the big documents, the company profiles? So we decided to see how we could automate it and then store it digitally, and that has been achieved. So we have better and efficient record keeping now, because our processes have been automated. Fairness and transparency, we have that now. It's not 100%, but I'm proud of what we have now. Cost saving, reduce overhead. We have also reduced overhead spending, which has always been a big issue for most ministries. Greater level of control and compliance. That we have also been able to achieve. I think that's a repetition, sorry about that. The tracking of projects. We find out that there are things that we've done in 2013, 2014, and sometimes you want to track it. If you have to go through all those paperwork, it will be so difficult and cumbersome to track all those things. So we decided to ensure that we do put all those things digitally and automate it in order for us to track those projects. Which companies supply those equipments, which company performed very well during the evaluation. All those things we've been able to track and keep record of, and also the expenditure and the budget. Accurate and detailed up-to-date report generation. Every month, it's easy for me to generate a report concerning procurement process and records of what we've done. And recently, I just decided to do it on a quarterly basis, because it's easier for me to collate 3 months, and then my DG gets the report of what procurement has done for the past 3 months, or on a monthly basis. It's easy for me to do that now because of what we've been able to achieve. Then we look at the demerits. In everything you do, you also have some things that are hindering you back. And these are the demerits. These demerits also affect other public sector ministries and commissions and parastatals. There's a high level of initial investment cost. We had to invest a lot to get this done. And e-procurement is not something you just talk about. It's something you need to invest money in. It's something you need to spend money to get the necessary things. We also require, it also requires effective change management. Most civil servants are afraid of following the e-procurement or automating their processes, because they feel that jobs will be taken away from them. So there's need for change management to be done, effective change management to be done in most public sectors, organizations and ministries. Another demerit is it leads to exclusion of certain contractors, because the smaller contractors, it's difficult for them to come in. They always complain that they don't have the necessary, we have to encourage the SMEs. So this is one of the demerits that we have seen, because the smaller contractors want to also be part of it, and we've told them that the requirements by PPP needs to be followed before we could put them into those e-procurement portals.
So thank you. I mean, we can read it off the screen.
We require good system and security because of cyber. Because as a digital commission, cyber fraud is very common. So we need to face that. I think I need to stress that. Yes. And that is what we are looking at now. Thank you.
On supply chain digitization, what is the need for procurement professionals in Nigeria? So, welcome, Ifeanyi.
You know, like in my culture, if a child is invited to eat among the elders, you know, usually it's a lot of pleasure. And I think young professionals sitting here today are very much encouraged by this opportunity to talk about supply chain digitization, what is the need for us in Nigeria. Basically, I'm going to spend some time talking about supply chain digitization, what is the need for procurement professionals in Nigeria. Just like the first speaker have talked about, you know, Nigeria today, or globally, we are faced with a lot of challenges. The environment we are working in is a VUCA environment, like Babs have mentioned. There are a lot of volatility. There are a lot of uncertainty in the industry. There are a lot of challenges, complex systems here and there in the industry, in the world today. And of course, there are a lot of ambiguity. There are a lot of things that we don't get to see in our supply chain. And basically, we're going to look at what can digitization do to ensure that the supply chain is agile, to ensure that the supply chain delivers increasing value to our businesses. And there's a lot of pressure on supply chain to be efficient, in the sense that we're supposed to deliver efficient services very fast, super fast, and we're going to deliver those services that are very flexible. You know, supply chain is in most organizations, supply chain is seen as a roadblock. You spend a lot of time going through the tendering process, and for many reasons, supply chain is, you know, seen as a roadblock, is seen as a paralysis analysis, what they call it. And we spend so much time going through the sourcing process. And of course, we are supposed to be agile. Agile in the sense that we are going to respond effectively to the disruption that is happening around the world. And just like one of our speakers have talked about, supply chain today is required to be Apple easy and go fast. Apple easy in the sense that we are supposed to, you know, make sure that our processes are super easy. It's not complex, and at the same time, we are able to get solution to our stakeholders, to our customers, very, very fast at the click of a button. Now, how are we able to achieve that? That is where digitization comes into play. There are a lot of digital enablers that have been recognized as a building block to ensuring that we deliver increasing value to the supply chains, to our stakeholder, to all the partners along the value chain. And I'm going to be talking about a few of them, starting from the cloud computing. And we've been hearing a lot of these buzzwords, very popular, you know, everywhere and there. We're talking about cloud computing. What is it really about, and what does it deliver to the supply chain? Simply put, supply chain cloud is basically a platform that is hosted, you know, in the cloud. And when we say in the cloud, don't look up. It's basically not the cloud that we're looking at. So the cloud here talks about the collaboration. It's a platform that is seamless. So irrespective of where you are, irrespective of the system you are able to seamlessly access data, access information, and deliver service to your stakeholder. And why is cloud computing really very interesting? It is very interesting because in the cost side, you don't need to actually own the system again. You don't need to own the data center. You don't need to spend money, you know, looking after the upgrade of your system. So cloud basically means that it is hosted by another organization, but you're leveraging on that technology, on that platform, in your sourcing, contracting, logistics, and warehousing process. And it basically means that you are able to scale your supply chain process. And scalability in clouding means that however your supply chain is growing, you are able to grow with it actually. And what difference it makes is that apart from the ERP that we have today, if your organization grow, your procurement process grow, somehow your ERP, your legacy ERP system will then require upgrade. And that would mean spending extra money to create external access and all of that. But with the advent of cloud, you're not expected to spend money doing an upgrade. The upgrade happens seamlessly at the click of a button externally. And that also makes you to be more agile. And today, we're hearing about big data analytics. What is big data actually? Supply chain basically generates the highest data in our industry, in our organization. Talk about the master data, talk about the invoicing data, talk about the data you generate from your requisition, talk about the data you generate in your contracting process. What do we really do with this data? What are the smart actions? What are the insights we're unlocking from this data? And that is where big data analytics come into play. There are a lot of tools available today that the procurement professional can leverage to unlock insight from their supply chains. And what this big data does is that there are so many hidden patterns in our procurement process, in our demand planning process, in our negotiation process. Just like one of the speakers have said before, when you're negotiating with a supplier, most of the time you're negotiating based on the offer on the table, based on the fact that the supplier have given you a certain price. However, with the help of big data analytics, you are able to look at the journey of that supplier up to where it is. You are able to see how much have we actually spent with this supplier. And it could be used as a lever in your negotiation. And apart from the negotiation side, on the demand planning side, which is actually one of the blocks that can make a supply chain to be resilient or to make it a failure, you can actually rely on all the patterns that have been happening, all the demand planning that you've been going through all the while, all the changes that have happened along the chain. With big data analytics, you are able to see all of this information. And most importantly, artificial intelligence. We've been hearing about this word, artificial intelligence, and then I was discussing one of my friends today. Artificial intelligence really depends on the data we've talked about. So artificial intelligence means a machine that is mimicking human. So a machine that is behaving like a human. And what does this do? It looks at the data that you've generated. It looks at all the spend data. It looks at all the demand planning data, all the logistics data you've generated over time. And then it tries to mimic the pattern in those data. And what artificial intelligence does is that it helps you to be more active. It helps you to be more smart. And another step of artificial intelligence is actually the predictive analytics. So the predictive analytics is able to look at all the data you've worked on before, all the journeys, all the digital footprint of your supplier, for example, and it's able to predict what will happen next. And that is what we call the next best action. And what it does is that it's like an advisor for you. So when, instead of spending your time looking through spreadsheets and thinking about what will happen next, artificial intelligence can actually predict for you. It can actually tell you what is going to happen. And there's what we call predictive shipping, which is what Amazon is already experimenting with. And what is predictive shipping? Today, Amazon is actually able to ship a laptop before you place the order. Isn't that amazing? Very, very amazing. So they are able to look at all the stuff you've been checking online, and they're able to see that this particular merchant is likely going to order a laptop. And they are even actually to tell you whether it is HP or Dell. And this is what artificial intelligence is doing today. And a simple example is this. When you search for a certain thing online, you discover today that you open another web page and you're seeing a lot of suggestions. Okay, so I made a trip recently and I was searching for a flight. Basically, I just checked for the prices of those flights. And then yesterday, I was on Harvard Business Review reading a particular article, and then I'm seeing suggestions of flights. And apart from that, they're also suggesting for me the hotels in that city, because they are predicting that if I'm going to book a flight to London, for example, I likely will stay in a hotel. And this is also this is translating to supply chains in our process. And just to save time, to save time, we'll look at the Internet of Things. This is one of the most popular items that people think about. How is this being applied today? I'm just going to give you a typical example. Most of us have our Apple wristwatch, right? Most of us have trackers in our car. That is IoT. That is Internet of Things. So what Internet of Things does is that it gathers data from physical device, from connected device, and it translates this data into an insight. Typically where it's applied today is in trucking, in our logistics system. So there are what we call the smart labeling, the smart tagging, and of course ahead of it is the RFID that is applied in smart warehouse. What this does is that it's able to take information from an item you're shipping. A typical example is, when you ship an item, say from China, and then you want to expedite, you ask your supplier, please give me status of this order. And then the next thing you hear is in transit. Where exactly is it in transit? It is possible that that item has not actually been manufactured. If truly we apply IoT in our process, in our supply chain process, in expediting, we are able to see exactly where our order is, and we are able to give feedback to our stakeholders. Sometimes, why they see supply chain professionals again as a roadblock in some organization is that you keep giving excuse. Truly because you don't know where you are, you have no visibility to where your orders are. So you keep saying, oh, it's in progress. But with IoT, you are able to tell exactly where your truck is, where your order is, where your items are located. And most importantly today is the blockchain. Now, I'll just say a little about blockchain because this is an area that is under research. Like some have said, there's still a lot of development ongoing. So there have not been an end-to-end deployment of blockchain, but a lot of project is going on, especially in China. There are about 263 of those supply chain related blockchain projects that is going on. And what this is going to do is that it's going to engender trust. We're in a business of spending organizations' money. There are a lot of distrust in the process. There are a lot of fraud in the process. Blockchain is going to bring an end to those lack of distrust because blockchain enables you to see all the parties in the value chain, all the parties in the supply chain, and also enable you to see what is going on. All the authentication is traceable. So that will engender trust because for every action on the value chain, everyone connected in that blockchain is able to see it and they are able to take action. And this basically is disrupting the supply chain. Now, what are the impacts? What really have happened? A lot of us have been hearing about this buzzword, supply chain digitization. What really has happened? I wanted to see a very short, customer demand are changing, your planning process is changing, the data are changing on their own. So that is what makes it actually automated. That leaves the procurement person with opportunity to think about other strategic ways to deliver service to their customers.
And so even though you're going to be moderating, I'll be moderating you.
All right.
Deal. All right.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
All right. Good morning, Choma and Leo. Good to have you. So we're going to be talking about the digitization project that you handled in Nigeria. Can we give them a mic? So that leaves me to self-moderate myself. Okay, so to Choma, basically in a nutshell, can you tell me the digitization project that you've handled in the past and up to today?
Okay, so the one I've handled, or my company has
Your
handled.
company have handled
Or
it,
the
part
oil and
of
gas
it
industry.
already done in the industry.
Okay, so generally, when we talk about the industry, a number of digitization, technologies have actually been employed, in the demand and supply forecasting. within the oil and gas industry, let me just go straight there. So in our real-time operating centers, we've had, can you go back to the last one? Yeah. So some IOCs now for gas trading are using information from those real-time management center software to manage their supply chain. What it means is that they have an end-to-end supply chain visibility, and it's able to help them predict demand and supply and manage it quite effectively. In terms of big data analytics, a number of people are using Spotfire, are using Spotfire. They are visualization tools that have helped supply chain executives, to make decisions quickly. And if you go to the other one, can you go to the next slide, please? So, of course, you have already mentioned it, that ERP tools that enable automation of purchase orders. It's the order of the day. And currently, at the end of last year, we adopted the big SAP Ariba tool, which really integrates a number of other standalone tools into one. And it has a lot of potentials. We have not even started touching it. But if you look at it in the wider Ariba space, you have access to over millions, you have access to millions and millions of suppliers across the globe, and can form a basis in the future, for machine learning and also for smart contracts if we come into that blockchain space. And by the way, in our Shell Technology Center in Amsterdam, studies are already ongoing, on how we can use blockchain, as one of our future technologies. Can you go to the next one quickly? 3D printing. In our company, we have successfully printed, if you like, a glycol pump valve that is obsolete, and it has implications for the future for us, because we're looking in the future at a warehouse where you don't have inventory. What people have are designs that are in files, with licenses from
OEM.
Yes, for the OEMs, So the possibility is there, that this can really be a game changer for us. So we've had the pilots done, and we're looking at how we can do it in other places. And finally, there's one that is going on now called machine vision. It just uses the imaging technology to look at spares, and it can actually reduce the amount of time it takes us to do inventory counts and all that here. So it has implication for our investment decisions.
I'll just ask you one question.
Yeah.
For all of this, what difference has it made for you as a supply chain professional? How has it made your job in terms of delivering increasing value to your stakeholders?
Okay, so if we go back to SAP Ariba, so this is a one-stop shop. That means it's, if you like, an ecosystem. It has collapsed and it has removed the boundaries.
Yeah, no silo.
No silos,
friction.
exactly. So it gives you a lot of visibility. You can actually do a lot, and we're still learning it. We're still at the early stages. So the possibilities of it, when you think about it, it really blows your mind on what we can do in that space. So we're learning it. We're learning in that space, but it's already making change. Yes.
All right, thank you. To Aliu. Aliu is the strategic sourcing supervisor for NNPC, and that is public sector. And I'm really interested in what technology is doing in the public sector. So what are the transformations that digitization have enabled in supply chain and where you work?
Thank you very much. Dan, no need to show my presentation because there's a mix-up. So I'll just go ahead and just talk from the heart. What you say is true. The public sector is really an area of interest because a lot of the flexibility you expect from a normal private company is always a bit difficult when it comes to public sector because we are governed by a lot of regulations. Government agencies here can attest. But notwithstanding, as a commercial entity as well, NNPC has done a lot of tremendous IT-enabled transformations. Some of them I was part of in 2012. If you can remember the transformation unit that was created in 2009, sorry. But I was there in 2012, and we successfully deployed what we call the business intelligence module And the business intelligence only says, okay, we generate a lot of data in the industry, in our own company. So how do we have a single point repository where you don't have to recreate things? You know, somebody has already done an analysis, somebody has already done a report, and you can always dive into that pot, if you like, and get that information, because we know information is key to delivering business value.
Yeah, and sorry to cut in, and particularly because you're in the public sector, and I understand the peculiar challenge in automation. Just like the lady have talked about in NMSC, most people are afraid that, oh, if you automate this system, I'm going to lose my job. I want you to highlight what were the challenges you faced at the beginning of implementing system, or the challenges that your unit or the project faced as a whole.
Okay. Really, I will just cite one example. We have this IT tool that manages travel management. We call it the eTour. And I remember when we were deploying that eTour, there is a point where it integrates with SAP, and then there's something that is called packing, you know, where you actually pack everything into SAP for SAP now to generate a code which can be used you know, as part of the process of payment. And then there's this officer that's a job to actually do the packing manually. And then we came and said, okay, this is going to be auto packing. And the woman just hit the table. You know, you won't make me redundant, right? You know, like, okay, I can see you don't like me, you know, something like that. And the truth is, fast forward 2 years after deployment of the eTour solution, I met the same woman. And then I said, how does it feel? And the woman was like, I think I misunderstood it. It actually made my work easier, and I can actually process more claims faster than if I was actually pack it manually than I used to. So yes, people actually feel threatened by IT, especially, you know, when you are used to, I know, like when we're deploying the ECM, what we call the Enterprise Content Management. It's an application for those who want to know that manages, you know, approvals, the documents, and everything within the system. And then we said, okay, it's going to be auto-signed. So we have this co-sign app, which you can actually sign the document, you know, automatically online. And then we hit a guy who said, no, I prefer hard copy. I prefer to use my pen, you know.
All right, thanks, Aliu. Sorry to cut in, so we'll just wrap it up here. Very much thanks to you, Choma and Aliu, for the insight you've given to us. And what does this mean to us? It means that as procurement professionals, there is need for us to upskill. We need to learn and embrace this emerging digital talent, the big data analytics, business process modeling. We need to do this if we want to remain really relevant in our industry. And most importantly, we want to make sure that we check our maturity system. Don't jump into digitization. Don't say, oh, because everyone is digitizing, we have money, let's go digitize. You need to really take time to plan. And that is what we call, you should apply the 80-20 principle. 80% of your time should be spent in planning, and only 20% should be spent in the implementation. This is one of the ways to ensure that when you finally digitize your supply chain, you are able to actually benefit from all of the potentials that it holds. And with this, I'll wrap up this session, and I will say a big thank you to everyone, to the chair and the team for running this session.
Thank you, Fine. That was a smashing presentation. You can see he's your IT guy offline. Okay, quickly, we want to go back to one of the items we had to skip on the agenda earlier on because of, as we say in Africa, logistics. So we'd like to call on Deputy Chief of Staff from the Deputy Ondo State Governor's Office, Dr. Kufo, who will be representing the Honorable Alfred A. Ajayi, Ondo State Deputy Governor. Please come to the podium and deliver the topic, the role of professionals in driving and growing the Nigerian economy. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Oluchi Kufo. I remember in the course of my career, most of my colleagues took me for Ghanaian. Yes. And Kufo, I came from an environment where most of their names are shortened. So it's Kuforiji, and shortened for Kufo. My experience from it is that during the Civil War, there is a friend too, of which his surname is Ojilero. His name was shortened for Oji. And when he was passing through Ore, he was taken from the east and spent almost about 1 week with them before he was later identified. I think they asked him to call Toro at that time. I stand in for the Deputy Governor of Ondo State, Honorable Agbola Ajayi. He ought to have been here to deliver the paper personally, but because of the governor himself has been out of the country for almost a week, so most of the activities of the governors collapsed to his own function. And this morning he has to be somewhere to represent the governor on another assignment. Hence he has asked me to deliver this paper. As yesterday, as when he was asking me to do so, I have to look at the presentation and revise it a little bit. And I've also told him that is a form of the deliberate decision for a probationer to come before a member of professional institution, confirming the level of involvement of professionals in the government's activities of Ondo State. Briefly, I'm not going to take much time. I'm going to look, I provide a bit introduction on the roles of professionals in driving and growing Nigerian economy. And in doing that, I try to define what is professionals, professionalism in perspectives. Then beyond that, I also look at the capacity challenges. And there are 2-3 slices which needs to move to about to 23-24. I looked at also the nurturing of professional capacity. I looked at also the professional knowledge and development. Looked at economic development as looking at it as a collaborative effort of various professionals in different fields. And beyond that, look at the concept framework for economic development. I looked at the professional contribution to and the supporting capacity for economic development. I also recognize that in the course of establishing various roles of the professionals, also recognize that there are no one-size-that-fits-all approach towards driving or growing economic development. And beyond that, I look at various economic activities for us as a professional to recognize our roles towards the driving and growing of the economy. I also looked at approach on how to go on to achieve the target achievement towards the growing of the economy. I looked at the role, basically make some recommendations, and also address issue relating to the role of professionals in the political environment before providing the conclusion. While doing the conclusion, what I also trying to do is to also, while we're talking about our roles, what are also the response of government in time of, the role it needs to also play towards enabling professionals to play their positive role towards driving the economy or growing the economy. And finally, I looked at what the government of Ondo State has done towards encouraging or involving professionals towards the driving of their business activities. And that's briefly what I have done. So that introduction, what I did was to just provide you a view that when you look at the recent economics indicators concerning most especially Nigerian economy, potent there's some danger that if it left unaddressed will lead to another wave of economic meltdown. Thus revising all the effort put in place recently, while I think 1 or 2 years ago when we experienced the meltdown. And that's really called for us as a professional to play a major role. It is unimaginable that the country can deliver the type of dividends of democracy like other advanced, I don't usually call that advanced economies. I always say that organized democratic environment without the active participation of our professionals. However, you will agree that with me, the level of professionalism in our country has somewhat declined in the recent past. Nowadays, it is not rare to hear of corrupt practices and unethical conduct in both the public and private sector. This has no doubt compromised professionalism. And when you looked at that, basically you will agree with me. You will probably ask yourself, are the professionals, if we have seen that our roles of probably the demonstration of providing the professionalism is probably declining, is it because of the content of the training, or rather the level of the skill of the professionals? But in the view, a lot of factors form part of the environment we find ourselves. It's not necessarily that of the skill and capacity, but basically the effect of the environment that we find ourselves in most cases. I remembered when I was an auditor, most of the times when you finish an audit and you want to strictly report according to your finding, they used to call what we call domestic report in most cases. You find before you probably discuss your domestic report, your position will somehow different from what will be the eventual decision after discussion of the domestic report. Because you find the directors that ought to have interest as to some of your findings, they are the one who will ask you, why do you want to take this particular decision or take this particular decision? Why not you decide to do otherwise? At times, they will even ask you, if you strictly adhere to this decision you are taking, we might not call you back next year. You might have a second look. And so in some cases where you are in a position to decide, you want to retain that account or you want to go along with the decision of the managing director. And you find in most environments in the past when even up to this present, and also identify professionals and develop the capacity of the professional. In order, when you find that in the whole Ondo State now, an average schools in all the 18 local governments have been improved upon. And who are the people that were involved in doing that? It's the professionals who, in the engineering and others, which have been able, some people asked the question from him, that the governor before your time find it difficult to pay the salary of the staff. Why now, what the magic do you have by coming and within this less than 2 years, you've been able to improve the infrastructure of the state, you are also doing the construction and equally paying the staffs promptly every month, with even inherited 7 months that you carried as a burden when you came in. And the secret was that professional then that were within the system that were left unused or probably not incorporated to the whole process of the government at that time. Now, during this government, were taken into account. Because they were paid promptly and because they were recognized, they were even challenged to have a contribution. And the output you find that is serving as a magic was as a result of the role they effectively played during this present government. So these are basically the problems. So when I looked at it, the effort, which basically in environment, they had always believing that they can use to develop the economy in the past that are failures, involved in terms of direct investment, having the foreign aid, having the starting education, controlling population control. I remember during the Babangida era, he told us that we must not have more than 4 children. So all this effort is to feeling that when we control our population, then the economy will be able to grow. All this area we have in the various governments have adopted all this, having some debt relief and all sorts of things. All this we have done, but I want to tell you, with the present state of the economy, you agree that none of it has really resulting to effective development of our economy. For it means, where are we lacking? Where we are lacking is that professional within the economy has not been effectively deployed. Basically, our professional has not been effectively deployed. And at times, you find that our professionals, either they are not given an opportunity, or some of them, because of the environment we find ourselves, we have probably fall back without looking at the value and also play a positive professionalism towards the development of the economy. So these are some of the things we are lacking. And for us to be able to do that, we must, those of us as a professional, we must recognize that we have a role to play. And our role must also be played towards development of the economy in various levels, whatever position we find ourselves. And professional institution that guides our activities also needs to recognize this and set up a good regulations and guides that we encourage us. I used to ask my one of my seniors, how do you expect me as a lawyer when I come in as a young lawyer and I'm working in your chamber and I find that you are doing very well, you have the fees, and at the end of the month you give me just about 40,000. How do you think I will want to wait? How long am I going to wait to reach your level? And that's why you find that very few institutions or practicing firms in law that great time to develop their role and play their role towards the development of the economy. What they want to do is that I find a senior lawyer, a son, who I work on with, and is giving me 30,000, he give me 40,000, and I want to find my way out to also practice and earn as much as him. So I will not be patient to stay with him for 10, 15 years. These are some of the things that is playing a lot of negative role in the economy. So overall, I decided to make some recommendations. And these recommendations that we need to do, that professional needs to develop broad fundamental understanding of their professional responsibility in the society. And in the course of being a professional, because we find that an average professional must pass through a tertiary institution, an era where I knew that I met some accountants, also lawyers in those days. When you then in the UK, you went through some of in-houses through the form of articleships, the same thing in accountant. But the tradition has changed. An average professional now is a graduate. That means you become a professional after graduating from the institution, either as an engineer, either as a lawyer or, because if you looked at the old lawyers, you find majority of them, they use BL alone. They don't have LLB. It's because they pass through an article sheet. The same thing you find some accountants that they only, after secondary school, they went, probably did that of England and Wales. Even here in Nigeria, they from secondary school did an ICANN and qualified. But that has not been. For you to be a procurement officer, you cannot just from a secondary school now and come into register with your institute and qualify. You must be a graduate. So that means an entry point to be a professional is through a tertiary institution. I believe that students in this tertiary institution need to begin to see themselves from the point when they were undergraduate or thereabout as a potential engineering ambassador of the economy, to the economy, and prepared for the challenges of participating in social economic activities of the country. Then the activities, also while then they're on the campus, should be inclined on activism on development and innovation. The era of activism to gain power is fading. We are no longer in the military era. And the era of the professional being limited out, for example, when you look at the engineer in the past, most of the engineers, they're in the offices, and you find those technicians in the field. So that era has also gone. It needs also be in the field. The professional that brings professions into academy, also programs that should be also developed to bring professionals into academic field, so that those students in this tertiary institution should start having the feeling. I remember when I was an undergraduate student, I was privileged to meet a person who was a lawyer, a chartered accountant, and also chartered taxation, and also a professor, ICS or law. So when he's talking to us in the field, in the classroom, he's talking about the, especially I always enjoy his sections in auditing, because he will tell you mostly of what you find in the field. So unlike the other lecturers that are not exposed to practical, having the practical exposure that's related to our immediate environment. So we should need to find a way of bringing professionals into academic fold. Then, with all these recommendations I've made, I'm looking at the time, I want to look at it like I mentioned, I said, when institutions and individual professionals has a role to play, government also have a role to play towards facilitating effective deployment of professionals into towards driven and improving on Nigerian economies. That here I said a successful economy has a workforce capacity of operating at a level where it holds a comparative advantage over the economy in the country. To achieve this, government should try to give incentive training. I find it when we got to those states, some of the civil servants who are even professional engineers or different fields, they have not gone to any training or have any continuous arrangement. And see, these are some of the experience even from our various professional institutions. Like I did mention, before ANA came into being, you can count the number of continuous professional education that program that I can organize in a year. Unlike find your own institution, organizing a summit like this, organizing a periodical forum like this, is to enhance the professional capacity. You have interaction, you have this network that enable you to look at some typical cases. I remember there was a particular forum that I find myself. And I was discussing the issue of the SY Nigerian Airways. And somebody asked me, say, is that true? You have even sent a similar report in the past. I said, and I never knew he was a member of that Nigerian Airways. He now said, I will go back to the office and go and reopen it. Because what happened at that time is that, as usual, they called a consultant and said we should come and look at Nigerian Airways. And I was looking at myself, should I go there and just collect their money and go back as usual like every other consultant? And I said, no, I must provide it. And I took my time to come out with a radical recommendation. I told the Nigerian Airways, say, look, government has been interfering on your operation. And by imposing certain rules that are unviable to you. Now, if that is the case, and you are owing the various institutions guaranteed by the government, so there is no way you can reject them, but there is a way out. They say, what are the way out? And I recommended that they should hand over all the aircraft to the government and ask the government to also take over the aircraft and the debt. So when they take the two, then ask the government to lease back the aircraft. You are selling a foreign debt to the government, or you are taking the aircraft back with a lease facility in local currency, which is not going to be influenced by any movement of associated movement of foreign exchange. And at that time, they did not take it. They were having about 12 aircraft at that time. And I asked them to do a costing system. So at the end of the period, you may end up operating at a free cost. And they asked me why. I said, because government would have imposed a lot of route on you, which they must be subsidizing. By the time you want to pay the lease renter, set off those amount the government is to pay you, but by the time you set it off, it might probably be more than the lease rental you are going to pay. That was not implemented until when Abacha came in, and in a forum like this, we're having a discussion, and their chief economist went back wanting to go and implement my recommendation of over 4 years. But when it got to the office, their aircraft had been reduced from 12 or 14 to about 4. So it was becoming irrelevant at the time they wanted to implement. So, provide facility to train workers or variety of other means to design to create a more skillful workforce among the professional. All these are basically what government should be able to play, because you find that most of the public institutions, I mean the government in this country, has not been actually recognizing on allowing the professional to play the appropriate role. All these are the things that government needs to do for them to be able to do that. And while it is unlikely that economy will hold the competitive advantage of all industry, the government in synergy with the professionals should focus on numbers of industries in which skillful professionals are more readily trained. All these are basic recommendations which I've made that government should be able to do. And I believe that periodically they should be able to provide this guide for various institutions in order for the professional institution in order to train basically. So I won't explain that of the recommendation because I need to wrap up. So let me look at what the Ondo State government has done.
Sir, can you please make that very brief? Because we have given you precious and glorious time. And maybe you're advertising that you actually have a book that we should buy, because this has been really, really loaded and detailed and quite qualitative, but because of time, we have to sort of move on to the next topic.
Thank you very much, man. So I'm going to wrap up. Basically, what the government has been able to do was, when they came in, is to recognize the professionals within the working force. And also, not only that, especially even among the political appointees, and ensuring that they are deployed towards the developing the activities and economy of that state. And this has given the state government a result. For example, in the works, we have an engineer there, and an engineer who is heading that place as a commissioner, also as a special advisor. The same thing in the Internal Revenue Department they were able to bring a lawyer and a chartered accountant to come into that. And we find that that has really have a direct impact on the economy. And even the chief procurement officers of those states came from UK, is also becoming a specialist. These are areas which government has been able to do and resulting to very positive results. In conclusive, our country needs a professional with a high level of social and moral awareness so that all of us would be aware of the moral obligations and potential impact of our thinking in terms of decisions and actions. We need, in terms of recommendation, to be good role model for others in the various professions, in terms of behavior, attitude, and relationship. Let us endeavor to act in a way that is professional and that retain confidence of public at all times. This is my conclusion.
Thank you. That was Dr. Olujimi Pupo, Deputy Chief of Staff, Deputy Governor's Office for Ondo State. Thank you very much, sir. You can see that his PhD was actually earned. Thank you, sir. Quickly, I'd like to announce that tickets are still available for the dinner event this evening, and you can pick them up at the registration desk. If you're yet to pay for the dinner, you can purchase your ticket also at the registration desk.